When I choose a superannuation fund, it's always very confusing and sometimes frustrating because there are so many super funds to choose from retail, industry, and corporate. Which one is better? Let alone the numerous investment options from balanced, high growth, stable, socially aware. Which one is the most suitable for me? I wanted to find out the best super fund for me, and should I stay with my current one? So I decided to look into each of the 60 super funds by looking at their investment options, their fees, investment returns. Halfway through the process, I realized that this is a dumb way to string out the best super fund. So I paused and think, when we pick a super fund, what are the factors that we care about the most? The final net return. So what comes to the net return? The net return equals the investment return minus the fees, minus the taxes, minus the insurance premiums. So the process will be much easier now. We just need to find a fund that offers an okay, consistent performance, that offers low fees, both admin and investment fees, and we don't want to pay any high insurance premiums that is not necessary. As the calculation of insurance premiums will be customized based on individual situations, so it really comes down to the investment options, returns, and their fees. Now, we're still facing an ocean of investment options to choose from, which normally can be grouped into 3 options: premix, DIY asset allocation, or member direct. The member direct option allows you to invest directly into ASX shares, ETFs, and LICs, which is not for everyone in the first place, but also it has many restrictions on how much you actually can directly invest out of your entire portfolio. So premix and DIY are really the 2 options that most of us end up with. Either or, you can really divide them into 2 camps: actively managed funds or passively indexed funds. I'll choose index funds without a blink, and I would explain you why. The number 1 reason is the transparency of the portfolio holdings. Can you believe that for years, Australia's superannuation funds don't meet global best practices and they don't have to disclose portfolio holdings? Do you find it strange that when you are checking the different investment options, all you can see is the asset allocation, and we as the members don't even have a clue what our money is invested in? The Australian government finally released a new regulation in November last year that super funds will be required to report their holdings by end of March this year. Yay! But don't be happy too soon. Let's randomly check a super fund. How about Australian Super that was awarded by Finder? Under what we invest in, we will see the shares, property, private equity, and their weights and so forth. But wait a second. Don't you want to know why does the fund manager invest in them? Or how do they decide their weight? What's their investing methodology? Who is the fund manager? What is the fund manager's past performance record? On the other hand, for example, the index diversified options, we know that they outsource from Vanguard and invest in Vanguard Australian Shares Index Fund, which we all know is VAN 0002. We can find holdings, management fees, font size, net price, and even the index methodology if you want to dig deeper. Now, let's have a closer look at the performance between an actively managed fund and the passive index fund. First of all, what is an actively managed fund? An actively managed fund is a fund that fund manager or the team makes decisions about how and what to invest the fund's money based on their investment styles. Some may focus on value, and some may focus on long-term growth, and some may believe in cyclical recovery, and some may purposely go against market trends by selling when others are buying. From the Spiver research, it looks like the fund manager outperforms the market in the short term. The longer it gets, the less fund managers can beat the market. They're more like sprinters, not marathon runners. However, the money that we put into our super is for retirement, which has 20, 30, 40, or even 50 years investment horizon. You may argue that, okay, I just want to pick the minority active funds that outperform the market. Fair enough, but the thing is, we don't know who is the fund manager managing it and how long has he or she been managing it. It's not like the funds that have a scorecard with the fund manager's past record, as you may find in Chinese mutual fund app. Most of the actively managed funds that did manage to outperform in one period typically fail to do so in the subsequent period. The persistence scorecard from Spiver tracks how consistent the fund outperforms the market. So if a fund which consistently stands out from its peers to beat the market is more likely to show the fund manager's skill, not the random luck. But sadly, the recent years' results show that regardless of the asset class or style focus, active management outperformance is typically short-lived. Let's take a look at US. Persistent scorecard year-end 2021, if we rank all the US mid-cap funds into fourth quartiles in 2019, among the top quartile funds, 61% of them remained the top quartile in 2020. Did they continue to lead the way in 2021? Sadly, only 1.5% of the 2019 winners remained the top quartile in 2021. Spiva did the similar 3 consecutive years tracking Australian market. The result is very similar. Among the 81 winner funds in 2019, only 30% stayed in 2020 and 3.7% stayed in 2021. The problem for us to pick an actively managed super fund is the information that we can access is limited. And we don't know who is the fund manager, what is his or her methodology to pick stocks or bonds or other securities. By the time when a particular fund is showing a great performance record, it's probably already too late to get in. For example, the Fidelity Magellan Fund was managed by one of the greatest mutual fund manager, Peter Lynch, from 1977 to 1990. During this period, the fund constantly doubled the S&P 500 index with 29% annual return, making it the best performing mutual fund in the world. If you started to invest in this fund after Peter Lynch left, in the next 10 years, it still provided about 8% annual return, not 29% anymore. And how about the time after that? Another example, ARKK, one of the trendy active investing in the future fund that female Warren Buffett, Cathie Wood manages. Everyone was talking about it in 2020 and its price went crazily high. And let's look at how is it doing now. Since July last year, the fund started to go downwards. Imagine if you jump into it at here or here or here. I think the message is very clear that we better leave our hard-earned money into a passive index fund, which can at least give us an average market return consistently. Now, let's talk about the fees and taxes. Because of the nature that fund manager needs to do more research to handpick the stocks, bonds, whatever securities, it's understandable actively managed funds normally charge higher fees from 0.5% to 1.5%. While index funds are passively tracking indices, the management fees typically falls below 0.5% or even below 0.1%. And on top of that, the actively managed funds are not tax efficient because the fund managers, they may trade more often, they may buy low and sell high, and any of these capital gains are reliable to capital gain tax, which essentially will erode the net return. But for us, the most important matters is the net return after the costs and taxes. I wish I could share my Excel with you, but as the new ASIC regulations, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to recommend any investment product. I hope you get my point though. After examining the 60 super funds, I'm happy with my current one, so I'm gonna stay until next year. What super funds are you with, and do you consider to change it? Please leave a comment below. My name's Irene. I'll see you next week. Bye.